Thanks for joining us today. Today we have our third video in our video series for the Sippy 2020 feature releases. Today, as always, we have Pavel, our lead QA, and Philip, who is our product manager. My name is Fred, and I'm responsible for marketing and sales here at Sippy. So, as I said, today we're going to be going over the multi-factor authentication part of our features coming up in Sippy 2020. If you entered our sandbox contest, please pay close attention to the slides and be sure to take notes so that you can answer the quiz and have a chance to win the sandbox. For now, I'll leave you with Philip, who's going to take you over the multi-factor authentication. Thanks, Philip.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to go through a quick description of our new multi-factor authentication features that we've added in Sippy Soft Switch 2020. We'll sort of look at why we decided to work on this feature and explain a bit how that works and what the increased security means for you. To me, this multi-factor authentication change is probably one of the most important security changes we've made to our soft switch in the last three or so years. For us, security is a really big high priority for us. We want to make sure that the users that access your soft switch are indeed the people who should be accessing your soft switch. And the best way to make sure that this happens is implement a multi-vector or multi-factor methods of authentication. So you might be asking, what is two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication? Multi-factor authentication refers to multiple ways to verify someone's credentials. In its most basic sense, this is a username and password. This is all based off of information that only you should know, you being the user. There's other ways currently that we have in our soft switch also to verify your logins. We have an existing feature for firewall policies that would allow you to block access based on where you're logging in from. So it's based off of some place that you are, or the location that you're at, physically at. And so we have rules in place on our firewall system to allow you access if you're accessing the soft switch from a specific IP address, or either whitelist or blacklist based off of that IP address. What's new in Sippy Soft Switch 2020 is we've given you 2 additional ways to verify your users. Both these methods are based off of something that you have. In the first case, we're talking about a simple email based validation. And in the second instance, we're talking about Google Authenticator. In email-based two-factor authentication, this is pretty common. You guys probably would have seen this if you've ever bought anything online. This is something, a security step you will commonly see. Users will need to attach an email to their user account, and the soft switch will send out an email with a token, which is pretty much a link where the users will click on that link to verify that that login was the right person. So in this condition, you have access to your email. You could click on the link, and this is how the soft switch verifies whether or not you could gain access to the soft switch. We've set it up so that these tokens are valid for a specific period, and users will be valid for a certain period of time. It's important to note that this is now our default behavior for our authentications. So when you do arrive to use the soft switch, you will need to make sure that there is an email account attached to your user profile. The second one might be a little less familiar to everyone, but it is still a pretty common security practice. We've integrated in Google Authenticator. What Google Authenticator does is pretty much scan in a QR code, and you have an app installed on your mobile phone that will randomly generate 6-digit codes based off of the current time. And that will match up with a code that's up on the soft switch as well. And that 6-digit code gets entered in at every time you log in. To us, I think this is probably the most secure feeling that you could probably get in terms of making sure that those that have access to your switch are just those people. And so we would recommend all our customers to enable Google Authenticator. So maybe we'll walk you through that Google Authenticator workflow typically looks like. Here you would just log in like normal with your username and password. And here's that first step when you're first setting up the Google Authenticator. Here you'll see the QR code that gets scanned in. And over on the left is the list of codes that would be generated. They're all time-based, so you have a little icon here that reflects how long you have to enter in that 6-digit code. And then you just drop that in to the field here and click verify. So that's the first time you set it up. Future visits, you would just enter in your code after login, and that would verify your access to the soft switch. This change was particularly important to us to get done, mostly because it eliminates one of the more common reasons why we might see some security risks. One of the things that it sort of eliminates is password sharing or user account sharing. So maybe 10, 15 years ago, it might be common practice to just create one login for your user accounts and then just share that with all your friends to get access to the switch. That's not really safe practice anymore. So which is why multi-factor authentication systems are in place. You now need to vet email accounts and use authentication methods like Google Authenticator. So these two new improvements are really aimed to sort of eliminate those types of scenarios where users might be accessing the switch that they shouldn't be. So that sort of gives you the brief overview on the multi-factor authentication. We will have a link posted up on our support forums. You'll be able to search for that shortly. Fred, back to you.
Thanks, Philip. So it sounds like what we are doing essentially is building on the existing high level of security that we provide for customers. I know that for us here at Sippy, at least from everything I've seen, security is something that we take very seriously, and it sounds like adding the multi-factor authenticator is something that we're doing to take a further step towards that. If I let's say I'm a user, I run a switch, and I've got my knock, and I got a couple of tech staff, and each one of them needs to have access. Will each one of us have to do this multi-factor authenticator every time, Philip?
Yeah, for Google Authenticator, you need to enter in your PIN code every time you log in. And then for email verification, you get verified once, and then you should be okay for a set period of time. That amount of time is configurable.
Okay, and it'll work for each one of the members of my team that I've got registered with Sippy, right?
Yeah, we would really highly recommend you not create one shared user account for all your knock agents or support agents. That's definitely not a best practice going forward. It makes the most sense to just create a new login for everyone at that point, and just make sure each person has their own credentials to log in and access the switch. That's definitely the type of scenario we're looking to remove out of offering this type of functionality out to our customers.
Okay, great. And from a testing perspective, Pavel, how have we worked on the testing to see that this works as it's meant to work? What happens if say on a practice one of my guys is not receiving the QR code or the appropriate token? Is that something that is being tested by the tech team? You, in fact.
So the main idea here is that the default method is email authentication and Google authentication is the second method. So to be more particular, if some of your colleagues or some of your NOC guys is not seeing the QR code when they try to log in first time, so that's the subject for them to ask the switch owner about what's happening there. But to be more particular, the QR code would be visible only first time when you do the setup, and all next logins you won't be able to see the QR code. Instead, you will see that screen where you have to enter the code from your Google Authenticator. And almost the same thing happens when you log in from the same location and you were authenticated via email using the token we sent you previously. So for the safe period of time that is predefined and could be changed later on, you would be logging the switch without entering any additional token, any additional code for the case of email. But when the time passes, you will have to do the same authentication once more time. So you will see again the screen where you would be requested to click the link in email that will resend to you or enter the token there. Fred?
Yeah, thank you. That makes absolute perfect sense. Like I said, I think that on the marketing team, we're very excited to have so many of these new features coming up in Sippy 2020, particularly as it relates to security. I know that in the past we've looked at many things on the soft switch to talk to customers about how secure, in fact, we are. I think that this is a great step forward towards making sure that we are offering one of the most secure switches around. I think that the users of Sippy, particularly the ones that are going to be upgrading into Sippy 2020, will find that a lot of the features that we have coming are very beneficial and very useful for everyone. For now, I think that we've learned a lot today on the Google Authenticator that we've got coming up as part of our multi-factor authentication in Sippy 2020. If you enter a sandbox contest, go through the slides that Phil presented and be sure to answer the questions on the quiz so that you have a chance to win the sandbox. For now, on behalf of Philip, Pavel, and myself and Sippy Software, thank you very much. We'll see you again next time.